Even joy itself becomes a poisonous draught. Because, in other words, essentially, your nature is not yet ready to receive the full intensity of divine light and divine bliss. And therefore, it becomes a poison draught. You are not prepared fully. Draught, that is a wine which is brought out from a cask, not from the bottle, but from a cask. From a barrel, you see, yes. Draught, poisonous draught. Even joy itself becomes a poisonous draught. Its hunger is made a dreadful hook of fate. Whose eyes? Joy's hunger is made, so that itself is becoming a hook to drag you down, you see. Savitri's statements are really very mature, very elaborate, very detailed. The human psychology is fully present here, see. Even joy itself becomes a poisonous draught. Its hunger is made a dreadful hook of fate. All means are held good to catch a single beam. Eternity sacrificed for a moment's bliss. Yet for joy and not for sorrow, earth was made. Now that is the assuring statement of Savitri. Although there is misery, all these things are there, falsehood is there, sin is there, everything is there. Yet, what is this earth for? It is not for the sake of sorrow that it was made. And not as a dream in endless suffering time. Earth is not a dream in suffering time. It will continue on and on and on. That there will be resurrection. We don't know, you see. It's not that. It's not for that purpose. Even this resurrection means what? Has earth really become something endlessly progressive? It does not assure that. Although God made the world for His delight and ignorant power to charge and seem His will, and this deep falsity has mastered life. Now she is telling us something, she is making a statement. She is making a statement. Although God made the world for His delight, well, obviously, and ignorant power took charge and seemed His will. This thing remains always a puzzle. He is there for all the delight. Why has He allowed the ignorant power to take charge of it? This remains the most puzzling metaphysical statement. In God's world of delight, how has ignorant power entered into picture at all and allowed that ignorant power to do all this havoc?
Who is the ignorant power? It's the death. The ignorant power. Is it the death?
No. No, it's not death.
The supreme.
It's ignorant power, some power.
Oh.
It's not death. Actually, you have got here power, ignorant power and death. And ignorant power to charge and seem His will. You see, it is not His will. Now, metaphysically, this is a very difficult statement to accept, to justify also. That if He is there full of delight and all that, then why there is suffering, anguish, pain, misery, sorrow? Why? How that can happen at all? See? And again we go back to the riddle of this world. Maurice Marley, you see. And that is what Narad had already answered. And we had to refer back to him, how the ignorant power took charge of his world at all. You see. Well, obviously, it could not but be so. It is not that the ignorant power took charge. Ignorant power cannot but appear there. When there is a complete separation from the divine source, then any activity which is there is bound to cause all this havoc. Because he had absented from himself completely, and yet he wants to bring out something out of it, out of nothing. He has to allow all that thing to happen. So actually it is not that the ignorant power took charge. The ignorant power was allowed to take charge. Was allowed to take charge, you see. Because it is out of that something will happen. And therefore, there is the will of his behind it. And this deep falsity has mastered life.
Seeing his will, it doesn't mean
He
it
is
is his will.
God, although God made.
Seemed, when he said it seemed his will. But I'm not sure it is.
No, although God made the worlds for his delight, for his own delight, God made for his own delight. And ignorant power took charge and seemed his will. His means God's own will. No, I have not been clear.
No, I said if you put seemed, it means it's not sure it is his will.
Oh, seemed. We are talking about seemed.
Like his will.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe it's not.
Yeah, it is not so, this side.
It's not sure. Yeah.
Obviously, seemed. And seemed his will. In other words, actually, how was ignorant power allowed to take charge? He allowed it. And therefore it seemed his will. When you are looking now entirely only from the point of view of the ignorant power, then it looks as if it is his, he allowed it, seemed his will. You see. And that's a deep falsity. Now here, again you can see very clearly, death is the cause of falsehood. It is death which has given rise to falsity. Not the other way around. Falsehood is not the cause of death. That famous quarrel between Theo and Savitri. This falsity has mastered life. Actually, the appearance of death in this creation is at the stage of the advent of life in matter. When life entered into material things, then she was stunned. Life was stunned by an ambiguous presence. That is death. A response came from the unconscious. Life is coming and wants to create beauty, joy, happiness everywhere in the material world. She has entered into material world, but from below, somebody stunned her. An ambiguous presence. Book 2, Canto 3. See? Yeah. It's a very beautiful description. The glory and fall of life. Life was invited, please come and occupy this material world. And she obliged. She leaped before looking into the consequences. See? Because she is a lady, adventurous. So she leaped into it. And then she was stunned by an ambiguous presence from below. Death stunned her. And therefore, death's deep falsity has mastered life. So in a way, It is through this itself now that life has to make progress. Death becomes, in that sense, here, the helper for life to make progress. Life by herself in the material creation cannot bring the glories of God in the material world. She has to be helped by death. And death's deep falsity has mastered life. All grew a play of chance, simulating fate. She is talking of Greek philosophy, chance and fate. Well, I have sent you some passages from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet about fate and chance, you see, how they met by chance and what happened and all that kind of a thing, you see. So there are allusions of that kind everywhere. In Savitri, you find allusions, references made to the entire literature of the world, in that sense, you see. The European literature and of course the Indian literature, you see. But fate and chance, they do not really play such a prominent role in the Indian metaphysics as is there in the Greek. Although God made the world for His delight and ignorant power to charge, so in order to justify this, you have to really write a 1000-page book, you see. How this has happened, what has happened, etc., etc. Either you have to write a 1000-page book or you have to make one huge big canvas painting. How this has happened. A mural. All grew a play of chance and simulating fate. Now here, she has laid down the basis of her argument. Savitri has traced the entire course of evolution, involution, evolution, and how now everything is governed by death and by the ignorant power. Death and ignorant power, they are the supreme rulers in the present state of evolution, you see. But that is not really the case. She asserts that, and she makes a laud, the praise, applause of the glory of joy, of happiness or delight, ananda. So what we have here now in the next several sentences, this whole section practically is the hymn to felicity. Ananda Sukta, hymn to felicity, Ananda. And I have given you some passages from the Taittiriya Upanishad where the joy is glorified. From Ananda we come, Ananda we live, to Ananda we go back, you see. From Ananda. Now, so this is the hymn of Ananda, of felicity, of joy. Savitri. One of the sweetest kind of description we have in Savitri. How really everything is full of joy. And Savitri is telling it to Yama, to death. Now, the description is not just a narration, a metaphysical argument that everything is made of happiness, of joy. It is not just a kind of a description, narrative, not a metaphysical argument, but why she is singing the glory of joy in the kingdom of death, then that vibration, that sound, that power, it is that which is really getting established even in that darkness, even in that world of sorrow and mortality, you see. So, her hymn is really kind of now getting established in the domain of darkness itself completely, you see. So it's not just a narration for mental understanding and reasoning, but it is having the occult power to recreate something even in the field of darkness. That is the power, that is what is hymn meant. A secret air of pure felicity. Felicity, the equivalent is ananda, as we said, delight, bliss.
I asked explanation.
Okay.
I couldn't understand it. You repeat many times him.
Him,
Him,
stotra, sto, sukta, HYMN.
how you
HYMN.
you see? Him. I didn't yeah. Yeah. I didn't know the word.
Sukta, Sukta, Stotra, Vedic Sukta. I say. Now she was saying, delight, God's sweetest sign of beauty. Now she is going to focus on delight. In that hymn of felicity, her focus is on this part of delight, which means also that automatically, once this is established, this is bound to be there. This has to be there. Hymn of delight also means the invocation to the goddess of beauty. Now, a secret air of pure felicity, pure. Here, pure is not for the sake of metrical completeness. See, a secret air of felicity has only 9 syllables. You have to have 10 syllables in a line to make it pentametric. So pure is not added just for the sake of completion of the meter. It could have been any other word also. Now pure felicity is the true delight. True delight, Ananda. It is not polluted felicity, it is not contaminated, it is not vicious, it is not vital. Therefore pure. It is pure Ananda. Shuddha. Shuddha. That's right. Absolutely correct word. Shuddha. That is absolutely correct word. Shuddha, you can also say to some extent, Pavitra. You see, pure, Pavitra. Pavitra not in the sense of pious, not in the sense of sacred, holy, which is really pure. Pavitra also means holy, pious, auspicious, you see, in that sense. It's not that. But here, purity and pavitrata is the same thing, actually. See. Pavitra, felicity. See, for instance, if I say a secret air of pious felicity, no, you don't do at all. No other word will do. A secret air of glad felicity will not do. Happy felicity will not do. For the sake of meter alone you want. Purity is the important thing. Deep like a sapphire haven, our spirits breathe. Now because it is the breath of the spirit, therefore air. Air of pure secret air. Secret, we are not aware of it. Deep like a sapphire haven, our spirits breathe. So what is the quality of sapphire haven? Sapphire haven, really true, beautiful blue. There is a kind of a purity in that sapphire haven. No cloud, no black spot, no contamination. It's sapphire haven. Deep like a sapphire haven, our spirits breathe. And this line, deep like a sapphire haven, our spirits breathe. See the alliteration of P, P, P. That strengthens the line, peace. I don't know whether you get that effect in French translation. No. Deep like a sapphire haven, our spirits breathe. You can see the sound of P coming repeatedly. It emphasizes the whole thing. Because that P sound here is connected with P of purity.
Which one connected to the P?
Yeah. Deep like a sapphire haven, our spirits breathe. Our hearts and body feel its obscure call. Obscure does not mean dark. Does not mean that it is secret. We are not aware of it. So this secret is connected with this obscure. Our senses grope for it and touch and lose. Therefore obscure. If you go entirely only by the senses, then the senses fail